Hey, I'm Stephen Glosser.
And I'm Megan Pikert.
Welcome to the Going Somewhere podcast.
A podcast for anyone who finds themselves in the ambiguous adventure of young adulthood.
A season that's marked by uncertainty, change, love, heartbreak, and a whole lot of big decisions.
Join us for some real conversations as we dig into what it looks like to be a follower of Jesus in this beautiful yet complicated season of life.
We're so glad you're here, and we'd love to have you join our little Going Somewhere podcast community. Follow us on Instagram at goingsomewhere.podcast and join the conversation.
We're all going somewhere. We might as well go there together.
Thanks for listening. Let's jump into today's episode.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Going Somewhere podcast. My name is Megan. We're joined by Steven.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up? We're joined by a special guest, both of our really good friends, Ellie Buringa.
Hey,
how's it going?
Ellie.
Woohoo! Good.
This is so fun. We're so glad that you're here.
Glad to be here.
This is so fun. Ellie, we've all known you for a while. We all work together. Mm-hmm. You and Megan work about 4 feet apart. The two of you have logged thousands of hours watching my children.
Yes.
And so you're both like family to us. So this is really fun, to have both of you. You guys are like the family people that aren't truly family. But you're so great, Ellie. We're so happy you're here.
Yeah, thanks. Happy to be here.
Yeah. Well, hey, before we get too deep into this, tell us just about your life today. Like, who's Ellie? What does life look like for you right now?
Right
for those
now?
that don't know you.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm 25. I got married 2 years ago and just celebrated our 2-year anniversary.
Shout out Mark.
Shout out Mark Buringa. He's the best. I work as creative director here at Northview Church. So I love design. I lead worship. So to any listener that comes to Northview, you might have seen me leading worship.
Or stalking people with your phone to make a reel.
Or following people with a camera. Yeah, that's life here at work. And Mark and I just bought a house. So we're moving in. And
Homeowners.
We're homeowners.
You're really checking a lot of the young adult boxes.
Yeah.
Getting married, a house, first full-time job. Mm-hmm. Also, you have a dog.
I have a dog. Shout out Kylo, my dog.
Mm-hmm.
He's a German short hair pointer, and he points at anything.
So that means you're a big Star Wars fan?
No. See? No.
I know.
But shout out Star Wars, too. Why not?
Is this going to be one of our shout-out episodes?
Yeah, I love those. Those are always fun.
Satari was the last true shout-out episode. Mm-hmm. I think we did like 40.
Okay, I'll tone it back.
I think we should break the record.
Build it up.
I think we should break the record is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Hey, just tell us a little bit about just Ellie growing up. One question I always like to ask, when you were like 6 or 7, what did you want to be when you grew up? And how did that define your life?
I wanted to be a fashion designer. I loved the colors lime green and pink. Everything I designed were those colors in any shape or form. Dress, t-shirt, shoes. That's what I wanted to be when I was growing up. But Ellie growing up, I had a pretty good childhood. My parents were divorced, which some people might chalk that as not a good childhood, but I still have very good memories growing up. I have great siblings. Grew up in Rogers. And
Shout out Rogers.
Shout out Rogers, Minnesota.
I also grew up in Rogers. For those listening.
Yes. So, loved growing up there. Loved my parents, my family. Didn't really know Christ, but wanted to. I think I had like some intros, but yeah, not a ton. So getting through high school and stuff, like I always knew I was missing something and I wanted something deeper, but I didn't find Jesus till college. So that's kind of where my testimony starts. I don't know, like continues, I guess.
For sure. Back to the fashion designer thing. Did you have like a name for your brand?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I don't know why. I could come up with one right now.
You could have called it lime pink. Just kind of
lime pink.
Lime. It sounds like a design. Like you would wear that.
Yeah.
It's just the colors being used.
Yeah, but it's not a real thing. Like lime pink isn't a real. Is lime pink real? I don't think so.
It sounds like neon pink, but like with a twist.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. Should I launch that?
I think so. I think it's never too late to to
I
fulfill
also
your dreams?
wanted to be a dance choreographer and a singer. So
You were in dance,
I was in dance.
and I've seen pictures.
Yeah, there's videos on my Facebook. If any of you stalk me, you can find them.
I'll link those. I'll be linking all of those pictures and videos. But dance is such like a, Kinsley would like to dance. So we're just trying to navigate, where we're at on that right now. You've talked about like the costume design and the hours your mom spent designing, or like,
yes, E6000ing diamonds onto any leotard ever, any tutu.
that's crazy. As a baseball player, it was pretty simple,
Yeah,
Didn't have
for
much
sure.
choice. But yeah, that feels like a pretty intense thing. And I've seen like the pictures I've seen of you, there's like hats involved. And
Oh yeah.
lots of different
No,
stuff.
we got into it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is
we're
dance-
performers.
I feel like that gets a bad rap.
Really?
You don't think so?
No,
I don't think so either.
No, I think like there's like shows.
Unpack that for me.
There's like literal shows like about
No, I see what you're
dance
saying.
moms and stuff and how insane that like world is. Like that I'm not making it up. Like there's TV shows like
I think you don't like dance.
No, that's not true. That's not true. I feel like even my neighbor was like, I don't like dance because they make fun of me all the time. And I'm like, I've seen it on a show. I haven't watched the show, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, see that didn't happen much.
Dude, you can't have an opinion on
You had a
something you've
great
never
you had a
seen.
great experience.
Yeah, I did. I loved dancing. It was a fun little outlet for me as a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I continued actually through like college.
Well, you should pick it up again. It's not too late.
Okay.
Now's the time. Start a dance
Yeah.
team.
I'm only as young as I am today.
Wow.
Wow.
That might be the episode title. I'm only as young as I am today.
It's kind of cool though, because I feel like everything that you pointed out was very creative, focused, singing and dancing and designing, and it's all stuff that you still do today. So it's kind of cool that your interest has like stayed the same relatively, and like you designed the merch for Northview. That's part of your job. Might not be lime green and pink, but
Yeah, that's every design, and we're like, Ellie, I don't think that's the right color. I'm like,
Shoot. I did
Someday.
it again.
we'll figure it out. We'll find your way to express lime pink.
Yeah.
Lime pink. Yeah.
Lime pink.
That
That's
is the
right.
accurate.
Amen.
That's awesome though. I do love that though. Like how a lot of times it's not like point blank, like we become what we think we're going to be when we're 6, but there's the things that God's put in you from a young age that we can stay the course on, and it's really cool.
Yeah.
But you came to college, and then what happened? Like what was kind of that experience like, that your freshman year, all of that? I feel like that's when young adulthood, quote unquote, kind of starts. And so what was kind of that initial phase?
Oh, well, I came to NDSU, probably the most broken I've ever felt in my life. And initially right at welcome week, or when you meet people, I don't know, in a group or whatever, I met a group of friends. I love them dearly. The thing is, we were all so broken, and we all just got into drinking, and my mom had just been diagnosed with cancer and no one knew. And I was learning, like, what does living a vulnerable life even look like? What do new friendships look like? People that I've not grown up with my whole life, can I trust them? And yeah, I spent the whole freshman year just partying and feeling horrible pretty much, but thinking that I felt good. Like, I don't know if that's relatable, but I just felt like what I was doing should have felt more right than the way I was feeling. And there was times where like I felt like, oh, I got invited, like I should go to this party, I live for the weekends, and it just I felt so empty. So yeah, that's how I started college, was just zero vulnerability, friendships that I still love them dearly, but just friendships that like we all just kind of got into trouble and went crazy. So that was the beginning of college for me. I look back though, and pieces of that really shaped me, and I'm grateful for a testimony, but I'm also grateful for what happened next, which my sophomore year, so my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. Then she like beat it technically or whatever my freshman year. But thing is, all that, she got re-diagnosed leading into my sophomore year. And I actually met somebody at a Chi Alpha picnic in the park who I had had a chemistry class with freshman year in like the darkest of my dark days. And I saw her and she was a life group leader. So I went up and talked to her, and her name's Holly. I joined her life group, and I ended up just finding Jesus. Yeah, that's like the beginning of my Jesus story, pretty much.
Because when you came to college, did you kind of expect, like, did you come with kind of, oh, college, it's party, you know,
Yeah.
or was it more of like, that's just what you stumbled into?
No, I expected it. Like, I feel like I walked into college feeling broken, and I knew I wanted that. Like, I felt like I wanted to go to parties. I felt like that was success in my eyes, is like being at the parties on the weekend and making the party friends, and I mean, my family parties. And I just felt like that would look successful or feel successful to me, which is why it was so confusing, where I felt so broken and I felt so alone.
Well, I feel like a lot of times, you know, when we feel broken, we also think that those things will fix us. Like, what do you think, what was it in that scene for you that you thought, well, if I get this, or if this happens, then I'll have value, then I'll have worth, maybe I'll feel better? Like, was there anything in particular that you thought you had control over in that?
Yeah, honestly, I think feeling like I was missing something, like the little glimpses of Jesus growing up that I didn't, grasp onto or didn't have accountability for or get brought up in that way. I knew I was missing it. But I think in my heart, like, I grew up with tons of friends in high school where, I mean, I loved people so much. And I think I was just always looking for community. And I didn't realize what community, like, was necessary or, like, would lead me to feeling hope and joy. Like, I mean, any friend I made, I was like, oh, like, that filled a void for me,
right.
And friendships, still love them. But I felt like friendships is what I thought was the answer when it was Jesus. So that's where I was so confused. I thought the more friends I have, the better I should feel. And that just wasn't actually the answer. So I don't know, maybe that's what I thought I could control.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Yeah, that's what I tried to fill the void with mostly, was friendships. And the friendships that I made just so happened to lead me to heavily drinking and
right.
partying, unfortunately.
Yeah. And friendships in general. I mean, that's pretty... leads us, there's no neutral with our relationships, and like there's so many cliches around that of like you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with, or right. Show me your friends, show me your future. Like they're so true though. Like who you spend your time with is eventually who you become.
For sure.
Yeah, you talked about Holly, you mentioned Holly. So what was that like did something just switch for you, and it was like, okay, I'm walking this path, or like you have immediate accountability, or was it like I need to figure out how to balance the both of it?
Yeah, I definitely didn't step out of partying right away when I met Holly or when I joined her life group, but I think honestly it was one of the first life groups I had attended. Holly opened up about how her dad had just passed away that summer. And I had been yearning to talk to somebody about my mom, and no one really knew about what she was walking through or going through. And her second diagnosis was terminal, and that just felt like such unknown territory to me. So when Holly opened up about that, I think that's why I was like, wow, I think this is a safe space for me, and I think I need to learn more about the God that she serves, because she's so steadfast to show up and serve the Lord after her dad just passed away, and that could be a really real reality for my life. So yeah, I feel like I took special note of being around her, and yeah.
Was that all kind of the biggest turning point then? Like, was that what kind of caused you to get more hungry for Jesus and put yourself in different positions and stuff? Yeah.
I think the same night Holly mentioned that is the same night I told my whole life group about my mom. And like simultaneously, like another girl in my group said her mom had that same diagnosis and passed away from that when she was like 11 or something. And I was like, what? Like, we can be vulnerable about this? Like, I didn't know I could even talk to anyone about this. I mean, I've had hundreds of friends who don't know about this, and it feels crazy that you guys are walking through this and you're so open to sharing. And yeah, I think that was a turning point for me because I looked for hope in friendships. And then I found out that the friendships that put their hope in Jesus were like so amazing for me and led me into such a better direction. But yeah, what was the question? What did you ask?
Just, was that kind of like the turning point? Or like,
Yeah,
was that
yeah.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that felt like the turning point for me. The point where I was like, oh, wow, Jesus is what I've been looking for this whole time. And I just remember people being like, Jesus is the best friend you could ever have. And I was like, what does that mean?
You got like a longing for that, but just how does that work?
Right. Yeah. And so finding Jesus like through these people in my life group, I was like, wow, this is incredible. I want to get to know these girls more. I want to get to know the Jesus they serve. And I feel like that really identified something in me. Like I wanted to live a life where someone could look at me and be like, I want to serve the God that she serves. So that just became really defining for my life right then and there. But it was a slow process too.
Right.
Getting to know Jesus and everything. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I also didn't grow up going to church or like with much knowledge of God. And I feel like there's a level of not understanding, like viewing him as like someone in the sky, you know, like someone far away. Oh, like God, and he's like foreign concept.
The big man upstairs.
Yeah, and it's just like
he's got a bowling addiction, thunder and lightning.
Exactly.
I was just at a camp, and that was a kid was like, I heard that thunder is God bowling and lightning is a strike. I'm like,
my mom used to tell me that.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
I don't know if it's theologically accurate, but yeah.
What it was like, it made it less scary though.
Yeah, it's true. He's just
but
having a good time.
I do feel like when you get around people that like know Jesus as a friend, it's like mind blowing for the first time because like that's available. Like he's an intimate God. He knows me. Right. He is my best friend, and so it's like it is confusing to wrap your head around of like, okay, he's not just up in the sky, you know, he is with us, next to us, leading us, guiding us, you know, like he talks back. Like there's just like, it's a relationship. And so was that something that you had to walk through, like kind of tearing down maybe the preconceived perception that you had of God or anything like that?
Yeah, I definitely didn't understand the concept of I could hear from the Lord. Like I understood that it was available for me to pray to God, but I did not understand that he heard me. I didn't understand that he actually had planned my entire life out. Like he knows what's next for me. I didn't understand that God knows me. You know, I knew that I knew the name God, but I didn't know that God knew the name Ellie. You know, like I didn't know he knew me. I didn't know he knew the amount of hairs on my head, like everything that it says in the word. I didn't know his character. But when other people continued to reveal that to me, that was such a turning point because my prayer life absolutely changed and shifted into like I would cry out to God. And it was so weird, like, I don't know, just experiencing the Lord in prayer versus praying, I don't know, the same prayer every night as a kid or every other night or whatever. Just like I could make a prayer my own and I could give it right to God and I could submit, you know, right to God what I was thinking. And I knew he cared and I didn't know that before. So it was really strange and really relieving to be like, wow, I found hope in somebody who's consistent, but I haven't just found hope in them to follow them. Like they know me, you know, they know everything about me. They knew about my mom's diagnosis. Like they've known, you know, it's like God knows everything. And it opened a level of comfort I've never felt in my entire life. And yeah, pieces just started plopping into my life where I started reading my Bible and felt more consistent reading the word. And then COVID happened. And I think a lot of people might have had a horrible COVID experience. But the thing is, COVID changed my life. Like I read my entire Bible. Like, I mean,
no,
pause.
No, I get it. I have
why.
the same. There's so many people that share that same sentiment. Like obviously worldwide that it had negative implications and that all that. But for a lot of people, it was the first pause button they've ever had in their life. And it was the first time to ever like it was a true jump start for a lot of people where everything was destabilized and it's like even a small thing. Like we work at a church. When we went from 2 services to 3 services, we didn't just add a 3rd service. We changed all the service times instead of destabilized everything. So it reset the system. And that's what COVID did for a lot of people. So yeah. I just want to give, I looked at her, if you were watching, we are not recording this with video, but I looked at her, you know, like a mass pandemic was the best thing that ever happened to me. It's just, it's just hilarious.
But also,
I've said that so many times.
No, sorry.
No, I get it.
It's okay. Same though. Like that
Thank
was,
you, Wuhan.
That was
Sorry.
that was the 3 months for me though. Like when I moved home, that was formative. So I think when God starts a fire in you, like it's impossible to stop it. And I think that's what you experienced in that season.
Well,
yeah, absolutely.
And I've just been writing about this, is the idea that for my story, we had like the auto shutdown of the world, you know, but how do you recreate that? Because I think that's not recreate that to that extreme, but how do we create the environment that we can slow down and truly, you know, face some of those things? And a lot of things are revealed, and we had time. And so we need to create that. But before we kind of dive into that part though, for you, I just think there's for a lot of young adults, I think there's this gap between revelation and reality, where it's like, I have this aha moment, or I meet Holly and I see God in a different way, or I'm starting to, but then the reality of like living that out and like the revelation impacting your reality sometimes takes months, years. What was that kind of gap like kind of holding both, you know, this new understanding and these friends that understand me and love me and are pointing me to Jesus, and then also still I'm bringing all this stuff in, like it's not automatic on off switch.
Right. No, I still had both friend groups, and it's a tough balance because I feel like a lot of people have felt this way, but you feel like you're living a double life and you don't want to, but you don't really know what to do. So it's like this glorious, awesome, amazing revelation of vulnerability, hope, joy, love, peace, everything. And then this like daunting, oh my word, I need to change. And I don't know how to change. And I just remember I had a friend at that point who was in my same like party friend group, and we would go to Chi Alpha together, and we would go to church together. We got water baptized together. And I remember it was so hard to comprehend to me to give up a lifestyle, because I didn't want to give up the people that I loved, and I wanted to bring them with me. So I don't know, that kind of sparked like, okay, I should at least invite them every time I go to church, to invite them or whatever. And some of them ended up going to church, which was so awesome and really encountering the Lord. And some of them didn't. And that's okay. But I think in those college years, like for me, shifting my friend group was something I was really scared of, and was also something where I didn't want to give up on people that I really loved dearly and spent a lot of time with. And I knew I wanted to stop drinking, and I knew I wanted to, just like change habits in my life. But that meant maybe not hanging out with the same crowd of people that I was hanging out with, but still loving them, still inviting them and stuff. But that friction was really hard. Yeah, that's really hard to navigate, I think. And I still keep up with them. You know, there's some people from that time in my life that they're not serving the Lord, but I keep up with them. Like, I love hanging out with them. I love catching up with them. I pray for them. I think about them. Like, we have great memories, but yeah, I don't know. There's friction in both, and you have to choose at some point. You have to choose to fully surrender to God and choose to encourage them, but not engage with them, I think. Like, yeah,
there's a difference between surrendering like a relationship or friendship to the Lord, and sometimes that you're just saying like, God, I put this in your hand, like, and it might change, and that has to be the reality. I accept, you know. Yeah. But I feel like that kind of brings to that COVID period of time, like what you know, we kind of got off track, my bad. But what happened in that time? Like, what was the biggest change? What happened during that?
Yeah, honestly, there's a lot of kickstarts. I feel like there's like plenty of times in my life where I felt God just absolutely kickstart me again into just a radical experience with him. But I remember getting a phone call from my mom during the beginning of COVID, and she said that her cancer had spread to her brain and her lungs and things like that, and she was going to take a pause on work because of COVID. And I just remember being like, okay, like I'm confused. I gave my life to the Lord and things are still happening in my life that are bad. And that doesn't make sense to me, but I know that God is consistent, but I really need to understand more of him. Like, this doesn't make sense to me. And I know God knows. So I'm just going to read. And I really truly believe still to this day and then that the word is alive and active. And I knew if God was real that I would receive something from him by reading his word and paying attention and digging in. So yeah, during that time, I read my entire Bible front to back. Like, I would just check off the book when I was done reading it, and I flew through it in like 3 months. And at the end of 3 months, like, I was richly, deeply, and radically on fire for the Lord. Like, anything that I wanted to do with the Lord, like, it wasn't enough for me. Like, I just wanted to spend hours and hours and hours with God. And that's so refreshing. I hope everybody experiences that type of like depth with the Lord and time with him. But I just felt so radically in love with God, and I felt so much peace. Like, I felt so much passion for him. And I felt like, you know what, God, things with life are happening still, but like, I trust your character. And now I know like your character. And I remember reading through, I wrote this verse down, but this became like a huge thing for me during this time when friend groups were shifting, COVID was happening, life for me was changing as I knew it. But this verse, Romans 1:16, it says, "For I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes it." And I just always said to myself, like, declare it fearlessly and proclaim it clearly. Like, that's how I live my life, was like, my Instagram is going to reflect Jesus now. Like, I'm not going to go out to parties and post about it anymore. Like, I've decided to be all in. And I just kept, every time I would be like confused or whatever, like, proclaim it clearly, like, do it fearlessly, because God is who he says he is and you know it. So anytime something happened with my mom, it was like, oh, bummer. But like, I know that God is who he says he is. I don't understand. And that took me a long time to know that I didn't need to understand. But I knew that I wasn't ashamed of the gospel anymore. So that's kind of what I clung to during that time. And I just radically went after him, which was crazy during that time.
And you started another Instagram account
at
that time, which was super cool.
Yeah. To process everything, you can actually look it up, Ellie's Bible on Instagram. But I would write down my thoughts, because honestly, like, there is nothing like reading the Bible for the first time. Like, I remember learning about dry bones, like, coming to life and being like, what? I thought that was just a song. Like, Daniel was actually in the lion's den. Like, I thought that was just a funny story. Like, Jonah was actually in the belly of a whale or fish. What? Like, huh? That actually happened? Yeah. I did not know those stories were in the Bible. Those seem so elementary, but I didn't know. Like, there is something so fun about reading the Bible for the first time again. I wish I could do it all over again. But I processed all of that for those couple of months on Ellie's Bible Instagram.
That's so fun, though. And do you ever look back at it now? Like,
all the time. Yeah. I love looking back, because sometimes I read it and I'm like, wow, I actually knew God. Like, during that time, like, it wasn't just a 3 months of just deep in depth, going crazy study. Like, I really had encounters with the Lord, and I don't know, sometimes I read things I'm very impressed with.
Way to go, me.
I know. I'm like, wow, God really revealed that.
There's so many sermons there now. Like, I look back at some of my soap journals and stuff from the years, because that was like a big part of my, like, early college. I learned the SOAP method of scripture, observation, application, prayer. And it was like a way for me to process bits of scripture and internalize it. And I've looked back at some of those have become the core messages, where like the thing that God revealed to me when I was 19, 20 years old is still one of like the things that I'm most passionate about preaching. And so, like, I remember there was a time where it was Acts 16, it was Paul and Silas, and the whole takeaway for me was, whoa, God released them, but they didn't run away. They went to the jailer who was going to kill himself, and they prayed with him, and his whole family was baptized. And it was just like, your freedom is just the beginning. And, you know, and when Brad got sick one night at Chi Alpha many years ago, he came over to me during worship. He's like, I need you to preach. I'm going to go throw up. And I was like, all right. So I had about 5 minutes. I grabbed my soap journal, opened it up to that one. And I was like, all right, I'm going to preach that. And it was just kind of cool to realize like how God was storing those things in, and whether you publicize it on Instagram or just privately, looking back at those things is so much fun because it shows like a different part of how God was speaking to you. Sometimes it's like profound and you're like, wow, I was a really good writer. And other times I look back and I'm like, that's what I got from that. Like that's all. No, but just God reveals himself in different time. You know, sometimes it's quick because has your relationship with Jesus been the same always? Like, has it always been like drinking from a fire hydrant? Like that time, like I read the Bible every 3 months and it's always fun and always exciting, or has it changed since then?
No, it's definitely changed. I think, going off of like this whole timeline of 2020 happening, 2021, my mom got super, super sick. I was still pretty on fire for the Lord, having like 4-hour quiet times a day. Like I drank it up. I mean, I was ready to drink from the fire hydrant. It felt, and I was ready. And, 2021, that December, my mom got really, really sick, and I was sure that, she was going to pass away soon. And that didn't necessarily break me yet. And so I remember just sitting, reading the word, praying, like every single night. I had this room. Well, I had this room with like the bathroom and closet attached to it. And every night I would go in my closet and I would close the door behind me and I would sit in there and I would just weep to the Lord. Like, okay, God, save my mom, save my mom, save my mom. Like, do anything you can. Like, you're an on-time God. You know what you're doing. Like, right, God? Like, you're going to do this, right? And I just had these weird moments of, okay, I know who you are. I know who you are. Your character is good and just and righteous and holy and everything. You're going to save her, right? And I just remember one night sitting in there and all I heard from God was like, Ellie, am I a good God? And I was like, you're a great God. Like, I know that to be true. Like, I will declare it clearly and proclaim it fearlessly. Like, that was literally my catchphrase. Like, yes, God, you are a good God. And he was like, would you still believe I'm a good God if I don't heal your mom? And I was like, wow, no, yes, yeah, like, wow, for the past year and a half, I've trusted you with everything, and I've been on my hands and knees in prayer every night for hours, and I've been reading your word over and over and over, and oh, shoot, like, I know it to be true. Like, you're a good God no matter what. And that was hard, obviously, to pray. But then that February, my mom did pass away, and I just remember being like, oh man, I know that God is a good God. Like, I have nothing to say or write. Like, I journaled every day, and I just remember on that journal page, gosh, I wish I had it with me, but I think it just said like one sentence, and it was like, God, she's in your hands. And that's all I journaled. And right after that is probably when drinking from the fire hydrant was like way less appealing. Like, I didn't know how to do it anymore. I feel like I went from learning as much as possible about God to really just like reading all 66 books of the Bible to reading like 2 that year. And I just remember feeling so insecure, like, oh God, where did our relationship go? Like, remember when it was just me and you, and like we spent hours together every night, and we were just best friends, and everything was like happy-go-lucky, and it was great and awesome, and I trusted you and everything. But then it just became like a sweetness with the Lord where I had never felt like God carried me. I felt like my faith, I'm responsible for it, yes, obviously, but I felt like I needed to know him every single day at a rapid pace. And I had never had a slow relationship with God yet. And so my relationship with the Lord completely shifted, where now I read like what I kind of went from is declaring it fearlessly and clearly and tell all the world and be crazy and stuff. And it just went, I don't know, it kind of shifted to like, get away with me, Ellie. Like, get to know me, God, like, tell others, yes, like, love your boldness. But it was just like, actually get to know like the richness of the love I have for you. And I think that's what I didn't completely understand, is how much God loved me. Like, I knew I loved God. I knew I chased after him. I was understanding that he knew me, and I was understanding his character, but I didn't know how loved I was from him. And so the thing that kind of is shifting now was quiet times went from like hours in prayer to like hours in lamenting almost, and I had to really learn how to unpack that. And then Romans 4:20 through 21, it says, it's talking about Abraham not having a wavering faith in God, but it says, yet he did not waver through unbelief regarding the promise of God, but was strengthened in his faith and gave glory to God, being fully persuaded that God had power to do what he had promised. And I knew what God promised me, that he was a good God. Like, that's all he said to me was, do you believe I'm a good God? Yes. Do you believe I'm a good God? If I don't heal your mom? Yes. Like, I knew that was a promise he was going to keep to me. And it just became a time of getting away with Jesus. So wow. I'm still there now too. Like, obviously there's moments of shifts where I'll, go through a whole book of the Bible in a day just for fun because I love it. But yeah.
I just feel like, that's who God is. He meets us where we're at. And there's times where, I think he gives himself to us freely. And I think, I don't know, I go back to even earlier in my relationship with God. Like, Brad was a big part of but I would sit in his office with a notebook and he would just talk. And I would just I wanted to know everything he knew about the Bible, about God. And then I remember something really kind of terrible happening in my life. And I went to Brad and I wanted to talk to him. I couldn't get a word out. And Brad just came over and just put his arms around me and hugged me. And it was probably 45-minute long hug. No words, 0 words. Maybe he prayed a little bit quietly but there's no words involved. There's no conversation involved. And I think to me that it's the same guy and the same heart. And,
right.
And I think sometimes we struggle with lamenting and we struggle with grieving and we expect people just keep moving on, and I think there's still purpose in all that, but you still have to go to work. You've
right.
had to deal with a lot of that though. There's days where it hits you harder than it's not. There's holidays that come like that, that stuff. I feel like young adulthood in general is so many new things, you
right.
know, for a lot of people, it's new jobs, you graduate college, you move to a new city, or you find a new church, you get married, and you've experienced a lot of those things, similar to other people. First job, married, right. got a dog, bought a house, but you also lost your mom.
Right.
And all of that, it lives together.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that's the story of what I learned with God, is that grief and joy coexist. And I didn't know that, but how would I have known that? How would I have known that before? But yeah, I just remember, what's that one psalm? It's as a deer pants for water, so my soul thirsts for you, God. I think it talks about my tears have been my drink and whatever. And I just remember reading that and being like, oh, this is my life. It's my life right now. But how good to at least just be able to run to God and know, I'm so thankful for the times that I just was radically in love with Christ before this, leading up to this, because it set me up to just trust God, being fully persuaded. That's my tagline now is I am convinced God is who he says he is, because there's no way he's not, I'm fully persuaded. I feel like that's just one of my verses now where, yes, declare it and proclaim it. But yes, I am fully persuaded of God's character. He is who he says he is, whether I'm learning the most from him or just every once in a while, I would just get a picture right after my mom passed away that it was his big hand and I was just laying in it. And it felt so comforting. And I was so grateful for a God like that. The same God who teaches me everything is the same God who will just hold me and be with me and comfort me and cry with me. And yeah, all that grief and joy can coexist. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, that's a lot though. Because you have probably good days, and then you have not as good of days.
Right.
And I think that, and I'm not talking about you specifically, just in general, especially when you're holding a large grief, a large joy, you getting married was such a special day. And I remember being there and, being a part of that day, but your mom wasn't there.
Right.
And that's one of those pictures too of this day that you've looked forward to since a girl, and it looked different than how do you hold that, or like how like some of those things, like, and I think we can talk about Mark for a second, you know.
Mark.
I remember when your mom passed, it was, you guys were engaged or dating?
Dating.
You were dating.
For a month.
For a month. That's right. And I just remember like how sweet he was, and how challenged I was by him, and how he loved you in that season and stuff. It was very obvious from the outside, like, whoa, this guy, yep.
Yeah.
He's a good fit for Ellie. But just like you obviously had this gift of Mark at the same time as this great loss. And so can you speak to that just for a few moments, of just like, even just your wedding day, like that? Because I just think there's people that have had these conflict, or that they know somebody that's walked through something like this, and they can send this to somebody, because I just think somebody that has been in that place can speak to it in a different way.
Yeah. Well, Mark is such a blessing. During that entire time, he had been a giant blessing to me and served my family, and that's so important, obviously. But yeah, wedding day, gosh, I don't know, just encouraging myself. Like, I remember having my bachelorette party that weekend leading into my wedding day. So Friday, Saturday, I was with my girls hanging out, and Sunday was the big day. And Saturday morning, I think it just hit me where I was still, again, like surrounded by friends, and kind of ties into even high school and my freshman year of college. It's like, but friends won't save me, friends, like, that's not filling the void, like, of what I'm missing. And I'm missing my mom. And, obviously before I was missing God, but this time it was such a different, weird grief. And yeah, Saturday morning, I don't know, I just took time. I took space to think about my mom and cry about her for a little bit. And I remember my friends, some of them being like, hey, like, why are you upset? Or like, is there anything we can do? And like, if you don't get it, you don't get it. And that's totally okay. But like, for people who do go through those days, like, it's okay to not always be understood. And it's okay to just find time to sit and relax, and think about it. Because I think for me, lamenting was like interesting to learn, because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to grieve. I didn't know how to process. And I wanted to know how, because I needed to know how. Like, when you're going through stuff, you need to know how. But staying in the Word helped me so much, but also just finding those times of quietness. Like, my wedding day, I did my own makeup, and I just thought about my mom, and she would have been there doing my hair, and she would have been there doing my makeup, and she would have been there. I probably would have done a dance with her, done whatever with her. She would have, zipped my dress up, like random things like that. But day of, it's like finding comfort in the Lord. Oh, it's so unexplainable. Like, you just have to trust that He's right there with you. And I think He does send Himself and people around you too. Wedding day, there was little comments from people that just reminded me that God was with me, and a lot, like playing songs that my mom would have danced to, or I don't know, random stuff like that. It's weird. It's hard to find comfort. Sometimes for me, I try to shut it off on big moments or big days, and then it hits me later or whatever. But even buying our house recently, I'm like, oh, shoot, like, my mom will never be here. And that's like really hard. But just like learning to make memories and learning to have space and hold space in my heart for those memories. And I don't know, like, Mark and I, when we got engaged, we like visited her grave, showed her my ring and stuff like that. I don't know. It's like weird comforting things, but actually most recently, I will add this. So with my mom, like, love her so much, miss her so much, but it's a grief that you can't do anything about it. I can't bring her back. But I was worshiping the other day, and I was just singing like, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. And I just bursted into tears, because God just spoke to me like, you're singing the same praises as your mom right now. Like, at the same time, like, you guys are worshiping me. And I was like, wow, this is the first time I've made a new memory with mom. Like, I haven't like hung out with her, in 3 years. Like, I miss her dearly, but like, what? Like, wow. And so anyway, like, God is still revealing things to me about grief and how to find peace and joy in grief too. Like, I don't know, worship. That happened on June 10th, actually, like just so recently. And I'm so grateful to God that that moment happened for me, because I need that, and God knows I need that. And he can send me dreams, and he can send me people, and he can send me Mark. But, you know, I miss my mom, you know? So, yeah, that moment for me is so special. And I assume there will be more moments, because God is faithful and his character is constant. And I know that he knows I miss her. So yeah, grief and joy, they can coexist. It wasn't like bawling my eyes out in tears of sadness. Like, it was just such a relief to hear from the Lord about my mom, you know? So I don't know. It's unexplainable.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to add, or as we land the plane here, Megan?
Yeah, you just have a really powerful story. You've walked through a ton, and it's something that just sticks out to me as long as I've known you, which has only been like 2 years, but you have such a steadfastness, and I do think it just comes to like you've made the declaration that I believe and I choose to believe every day, like in every moment of every day, like because grief isn't just a one time a day. I have to be reminded. It's like constant, and it's constantly reminding yourself and standing on the promises. And I appreciate that about you. I think you can see it. I think in the same way that you spoke to in the beginning of you had people that were following the Lord, that like you could tell that their life was different. I think you can tell that your life is different, and you grieve different because you grieve with hope, and you grieve with like that the Lord is going to speak to you about your mom. And I think it's in 1 Thessalonians maybe that says like we grieve different than everyone else, because we do grieve with hope. And I just see that as an example, and I just appreciate you sharing your story. It's so awesome, and it's so hard, but it's beautiful, and it has God just written all over it. Yeah,
super special.
Yeah, thanks.
Last question.
Yeah.
If you can pick the time frame, but if you could have coffee with younger Ellie, so 18 to 20, you can kind of determine what advice would you give her?
Oh, see, I knew this was coming, and it's so hard. It's so hard. I love younger Ellie. I love every year of her life. I wish I could go back and just chat with 18-year-old Ellie, though, and no, actually 19-year-old Ellie. That's when my mom had her like terminal diagnosis, and just tell her it's gonna be okay, and like you're gonna meet the right people that you're gonna need, and God's gonna provide. I don't know. I knew that, but I feel like a piece of me had no idea where life was going. Like, I used to tell myself all the time, like, if my mom dies, I'm dying. Like, if I don't have her, I'm nothing. Like, I'll be so depressed. You know, like, I just used to think that all the time. And yeah, I would tell her that God is exactly who you think he is. Like, God is exactly as constant as he says he is. You know, he's there with you. He'll be there with you. Even if you can't feel it tangibly, like, don't let that scare you, because that did scare me. I was like, but God isn't here. Like, God is, I can't hold his hand. But he does send people. Like, I truly believe Mark is somebody he sent to my life for such a time as this. And I know he will do that when I'm 35, when I'm 45, when I'm 55. Like, I know he will. But 19-year-old me didn't know that. So I would probably tell her, like, it's going to be okay. He's going to send the right people to you. And, like, don't think for a moment he would ever let you be like the one that ran away and he wouldn't chase after you, because he would. Like, he would leave the 99 for you. And like, I didn't realize that he would do that for me. So that's what I would tell her. It's gonna be okay. Life is great. See you when you're 25.
See you down the road. No, that's so good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, this was so much fun.
Super.
You are a great guest and a great friend and a great human, and we love you.
Love you too.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks everybody for listening to this week's episode. Obviously, subscribe if you don't already, and share this episode with a friend if this impacted you, or if you think that this conversation would bless somebody in your life. I know that not everybody has walked through a level of grief like this, but you probably know somebody who has, so share it with them. But Ellie, thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you.
What do we say at the end? I kind of forget, and I got yelled at by our guide who tries to make sure we do the end right.
We're all going somewhere. We might as well go there together.
Thanks, Heidi. Bye-bye, everybody.